Okay, cool. Hello. Welcome to this 2D art workshop. My name is Megan. If you guys have any questions at any point during this workshop, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will try to answer them as best as I can throughout it. First, here's the order of agenda for tonight is that I'm going to discuss some basic art things, but for the most part, we're going to be drawing. So I hope you guys have some paper and pencil all situated. I do expect a little bit of interactivity because it's art, and art is all about interacting between your creation and the audience. So I know you're like, man, it's Wednesday. I've had a lot of class today, but we all know nobody interacts in their Zoom classes anyway, so you can spare your interaction for me. Anyway, continuing on. My name is Megan. I've been making art for some 15 years. I'm a senior in art and design, and this is some of my art. All of these pieces have been created for various club projects for the most part, and I specialize in creature and environment design. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to compare your art to my art. I have a lot more experience drawing than probably most of you. I'm actually curious, do any of you guys consider yourselves artists or actively draw, or do you consider yourself a good artist in any sense? If you could just you can raise your hand in the Discord thing, or no. I got one no. Good to know. Baby artists. I love baby artists though. Draw a solid eyeball. Maybe on the wall, yeah. Baby artists. Very well. Ooh, a lot of baby artists. Good circle. Good circle's a good one. Fan art does count. Code art, I would count code art as art. Do SolidWorks is pretty good. All art is art, in my opinion, honestly. And I tell it, so that's good. It's good. A bit of picture art. Ooh, OCs, that's a good one too. I'm glad you guys consider yourselves decent artists. If not, at least enjoy it. Because that goes into my next part of comparison is the thief of joy. And this is a quote I found basically by going to what I think is now, is it Holmes Hall? I don't know. It's where the packages are on campus. And there was like a little card and it had one of these cards on it. And it's my favorite and I keep it next to my art. The pixelizing and blending of Vanessa Hudgens. You know what? That's art in itself. And it really is. Comparing yourself to other artists just makes you feel bad. So don't do it. And it's really hard not to do it when you see somebody who draws so much better to you than you. And you really want to draw like that, but you got to believe in your own ability to draw and you got to slowly get there. So don't compare yourself to me or anybody else around you. Your art is your art and you're special. And I don't know who hurt you. And if somebody tells you you're a bad artist, then don't listen to them because that's not constructive criticism. And that's just being mean. So anyway, moving on. Art is, someone's going to be like, are stick figures bad? And some of you are like, I don't know, is pixel art good? I'm like, yes, it's all good. We have stick fight for stick figures. If it doesn't look like what you're trying to draw, then maybe you need to practice a little more, do some studies, or you should look into abstract art because maybe you're just better at abstract art than realistic art. Like it's a whole spectrum. You can have, as this triangle here, you could have like the plain one, which is very abstract art, and then you have reality and it's just language. So the language is what is recognizable for your piece. The reality is how close to what will be the uncanny valley, basically, and how realistic it is. And then the picture plane is the shapes you use to combine it. So in the upper right, you have some very abstract Egyptian gods, or you have a really realistic shark, or you have some very stylized Egyptian garbs, or like really abstract stuff you'd see on like really old art such as Mayan and just very old stonework. And it's still just as good. It's very pretty. I'm not good at that style either, but I appreciate it in itself. So the hard part about art is figuring out where you lie on the spectrum of realism to stylized to abstract, and then being comfortable with being in that spectrum. So that's the whole part, and that's the mindset I'd like you to approach when you draw or start drawing, is that what you got to come up with a goal for drawing, and then you got to figure out, well, how close is it to like what I wanted it to be, and then figure out how to get to there, rather than like, I don't know, I want to draw the super realistic tree. I'm like, well, that's not a realistic tree. Let me try that again. But in Bob Ross's words down there, in your world, you can do anything that you want. It doesn't have to be realism. It doesn't even have to match your brain. It just has to match whatever you want it to be. So, as a little test of bad art, I have this sculpture here. And does anybody consider this to be bad art? It's just a general question. Do you think it's good art? Is it bad? What do you think it is? Tell me, what do you think it is? You think it's good? It's pretty good art. Yo.
I mean, I can't do sculptures really, but I can draw 2D stuff and digital art.
Oh, that's fine. I can't do sculptures either, but I'm willing to try. I'm not a 3D artist at the
It
least.
looks
But
like it's sculpted in the style of like stuff you would see in ancient Babylon, but the little hole tells me that it's probably some form of like water jet, and that's just a facade.
that is a very good deductive reasoning. It is indeed a fountain, and it is indeed, Udane said it's a lion. Out of all the messages, one person guessed it was a lion. I thought it was a dog.
Well, then it looks like a lion from Dark Souls.
It could be the lion from Dark Souls, could be the lion from Shadow of the Colossus. It's just a very stylized lion. What comes out of the fountain, it could be wine. It could be darts. It's just a water fountain. It's called the Fountain of the Lions in Italy. And this is an example of, it's good art. No one would say this is bad art. While it doesn't really maybe read like a lion to most people, they could have made it maybe look more like a lion. You wouldn't consider it to be bad art. So that's the point, though. While doesn't look like the subject, it's an abstractation of the subject, and that's okay. What's this Comet Milk? It's gonna be Mountain Dew Code Red. You have some very interesting fountains. All right, so what can you do with 2D art in video games? You can do a lot of things. You can do creature design, such as I think it's like the Anthos. Is that how you pronounce it? Up for Monster Hunter World, you can do character design, which is the Bravely Default cast in the upper right. You can do environment design. There's a lot of environments in the bottom left. Pokemon DLC sketches, you can do UI and UX design. There's a lot of buttons in the middle from League of Legends. You got to know what you're going to click on and what attack you're doing. Or you can do prop and weapon design, which are some examples from little strikers from Dauntless. There's a lot you can do within 2D art. And while we are moving into an age of 3D and more like either stylized or realistic 3D, there's still a heavy place for 2D art if that's your niche, as noted by the plethora of pixel art games and stylized RPGs that come out every single year. And the indie scene really likes 2D art. So it's a pretty solid place. So you kind of like, I think the most sought after, the hardest ones to get a job in would most likely be like environment, creature, and character artists. But if you can hone your skills for UI and Blender is scary. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. There is a hidden gem known as Celeste. It's very good. Also a 2D pixel art game. But if you can get really good and like concise at prop or UI design, at least to start, is a good foot in the door for some industries. For the most part. Also, this concept art, which most of these fall into concept art, which is general. So you can do illustration or concept art, which are actually two different things. The upper left is more attuned to being concept art. Same with the bottom left. But like, the icons would be more for illustrative and final art and stuff that would be promotional. So you can either have the concept art, which is more rough, or you could be the person that makes all the promotional banners and illustrations, like at least on League of Legends when you have the new opening splash page whenever they release a new champion. That's two different people. Someone designed it and someone illustrated it. And so Thinking of Hades art, Hades, Hollow Knight, also some good indie games that have really good 2D art. I think Hollow Knight was made in Unity as well. So if you really need to make money, you can always just make people gamble for JPEGs. The gotcha system is such a good example of 2D art that's very prevalent. All right. So let's get into art talk. The basic core of art is you have the principles and elements of design. Now, I'm not going to ask you to remember all of them. There's no quiz at the end of this, but we're just going to talk about them. It's kind of something like I can't really regurgitate to you what they are off the top of my head for the most part, but like I also, as an artist, I feel like I've internalized parts of it when I'm critiquing my work. So really my goal here is to introduce you to them, and like you can generally do more research and try to understand what they are, and that'll help you when you're critiquing your own work later on to be able to be better and grow as an artist. So our 7 elements, which is kind of like the basics of art, you have line, shape, form, space, value, color, and texture. And I'll go more into detail. We're only going to focus on about 4 of them throughout today's lesson, because that's going to be prevalent to what the type of stuff that we're drawing. But I have little links down here and that you can read more about them. They have some really good examples of what they are. And then the 10 principles of art I see as being more used for whenever you're finalizing like a composition or like really honing in on how to make a design like good. So you can do balance, which is how it's like, as it says, a sense of stability and cohesiveness. So you can have, if you have a landscape, right? You can have very nice trees. You can have it like a flat horizontal, and it looks pretty nice and mellow, and it's pretty symmetrical. Or you also character design that's pretty symmetrical. They have the same clothing with not a lot of variation. There's one way to do it. You want to know, like, how chaotic do you want your image to be, or do you want it to be easy to read? Is the general point of that. Proportion is another one that's important. When you have a small circle and then you have a really big circle, it creates a contrast between the 2 images. And so it drives the eye around the scene, and also creates a sense of scale, which is also important if you're trying to convey how big something is. Emphasis is used you want to identify what you want your viewer to be looking at. So if you want to focus on the face, you might put a little bit more detail into a character's face than the rest of the picture. This is where detailing becomes, there's such a thing as over detailing, and it's a trap a lot of artists get into, especially on final pieces. If you put as much detail into one is a busy image. You put as much detail into the background, for say, as you put it in the character, your character will be lost in the background, which is why a lot of backgrounds that focus on a character have like a wash or very hazy looking, because the point is that you want to put emphasis on the character rather than the background in that sense. Yeah, this is Gestalt, could be Gestalt theory of in like, I believe it is the pieces make up the whole. Is part of the theory, which is comes into mostly for the shape and the form aspect is what Gestalt lies into, is that you want to look at one specific part. Variety does, now we talked about balance, but then there's variety. If you have everything perfectly symmetrical, sometimes that could be boring. So you have to strike a balance between adding a little bit of asymmetry to your designs, and then to make it not look boring. You remember much of this stuff, that's good. But then also just having a little bit of interest, visual interest for the character, and like that can go into like little patterns on clothes, just very small trinkets, maybe like a different color in the hair. It can go into a lot. It doesn't have to be something large, but just enough to give visual interest to what you're drawing. Harmony is how well things flow together. So it could be a color palette, which I'm not going to go too into right now because color theory is a whole other subject. It could be shape language. Shape language is usually you have a lot of things are pointy, and maybe to throw some variety, you have a round trinket, you have a round shape in there, or you have a lot of like circles, and then you have various spikes or something is usually the general point in that. but you want to be able to create a sense of flow and like really be able to guide your viewer throughout the image, but not make it, you don't want it to hurt their eyes. And what I'm saying, I know a lot of what I'm saying is basically kind of like vague, but it's just a general introduction again. Movement is how your viewer moves throughout the piece. So if you have something flat like this, then it's kind of hard, unless you have like something going over the horizon and guiding the eye, it's kind of hard for the view to look around the piece. So you want to try to position things in a way that it'll move the image, move the viewer around the image. Rhythm is also goes back to the sense of flow, and you wish it goes back to the sense of movement in the piece. Scale goes back to proportion, which is how big something is, and if you can have something identifiable with the viewer to be able to look and be like, oh, I know how big that dinosaur is because you put a tiny person next to it, and you're like, oh, that's a really big dinosaur. And then unity is how well everything works together in a sense. Does one part stick out more than the other, or does one part overtake what you don't want to be focused on for the most part? And then there's also repetition, which is good for creating like a sense of what you know throughout the image. And it's good to like fill in details and be like, oh, okay, I know what that is. And then then repetition allows you to really hone in on something that's different. By having everything else be the same, you focus on what's different. But anyway, that's a brief overview. You can click on the links in this deck, which was linked in the Discord, and you can get some more info. But I'm going to elaborate on a few of the elements for a minute, and then we should get into some drawing soon. Oh. All right, so the only elements we're going to focus on is line, shape, form, and texture today. That is because we're just doing mostly pencil drawings in black and white. I'm not going to talk about color because it's a whole lot of stuff. But line is basically the basic form of an art. You cannot have art unless you draw a line. 3D is a little bit more complicated, but we're talking about 2D art, so it doesn't matter. You can either be curved or you can be straight. And usually how your line is formed affects the feel of your art. So you have this flat landscape, which is pretty calming. And then you have this dynamic angled line to create a lot of action in the scene. So whether you have a flat, you have vertical for like a sense of scale and like an imposing structure. You have an angled line to be a sense of tension, or you can have jagged line to be really be on edge in your form. So whenever you're drawing something, you want to keep in mind what type of feeling you're going with. And this is like, you don't have to think about it all the time. I would not encourage you to think about it as you're drawing for the most part. Like, you can kind of question it. This is more about you draw something and you go back and you're like, I think I could do that better. And then you do it again, type of critique. Shape and silhouette is basically the outline of your art. So a common practice for drawing art is that you take a really big marker or really big brush and you draw with that. So you basically are drawing the silhouette and the entire form of something, and you're focusing, and that's to get you to focus on the shape of your character or your creature or your environment instead of focusing on the details. As artists, sometimes we jump too quickly into the details, and it's just not necessary when the entire form itself isn't recognizable, and it's not really, you can't tell what it is. You should be able to, if you put your character or your drawing behind a black veil, and put a light behind it, you should be able to tell what it is, despite not being able to see the details. That's a good sign that you have at least a defining shape to your piece. All right, form. Now that you've had your shape, you have to do some form, which is adding a dimensionality to your 2D piece, which seems contradictory, but you got to sell the illusion that it's got a little bit of life to it. Even 2D art had shading and extra lines to make the pieces look like they're not just flat stacked in like the Z axis on top of each other. They're in front of one another like a normal person is. There's depth, and that's where form comes in. So that's the various line tricks and shadows and shading, which is where you come into texture, and they go hand in hand, because as you more shading, you get more dimension, and it kind of looks more like something that could sort of exist for the most part, at least exists in the world that you're drawing it in. Right. So that's kind of my basic talk. an introduction. So we're gonna get started in drawing now. So I hope you got your pencils and paper ready. I'm gonna jump over to a different screen share, and remember that we don't make mistakes. We only make happy accidents. So try not to erase too much, is what I'm saying. Don't erase your stuff too much. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing there. I've also linked. Let me draw up. So we're drawing animals today. I'm gonna show you some basic animals. Let me drop in the chat my two little worksheets. I've done this workshop before, and how it worked though is that I would give out this worksheet for viewers to kind of draw over with me, but we don't have that power. So like you can either use it as reference, or if you have a tablet, you can save the image and also draw over it. But we're gonna be breaking these animals down into various shapes, and how this is a technique of drawing in which you try. Sometimes drawing something complex is really daunting, and you're like, I don't know what that is. It's kind of scary looking. How do I draw a plane? How do I draw a really big T-Rex and keep it looking well? Well, you do that by learning how to break it down into shapes. And maybe this is attuned to my style, because I'm better at using oh, hold on, I have to fix something. I can't share my other screen yet. Let me see. Let me make myself co-host on my other thing. But this is more attuned to the fact that, maybe my style, because I'm better at drawing shapes than I am at realism, and that's okay for you. Where am I? Thank you. I couldn't find myself. All right. So let's go into MetaBang, and I wonder if I play music, if it's gonna play, because I don't like drawing in silence. I did this last time and it was very uncomfortable because I'm not gonna talk for the whole time. So if I play music, let me know if you hear it. I gotta switch stuff. All right, everybody good? All right. Can you hear? Okay, we got music, we got me, we all good? Okay, great. All right, so what I was saying is that if anybody has arachnophobia, let me know ahead of time, because I do have spiders on this list of things to draw today. And if anybody's afraid of spiders, I won't do it. But anyway, so we're gonna start with snakes, because it's a very simple animal to draw. Basically, if you wanna draw a snake, you start by, we have this little guy here. You kind of like, this is more of like a angular head, but that's okay. It's basically, also here's an art trick. What is whale phobia? I don't know what whale phobia is. Here's an art trick. Remember that you are allowed to turn your paper. And though I'm doing digitally, I can turn it up here. But you remember that you are free to turn your paper however you want. And this is good because you're better equipped to draw like into yourself than you are like away from you, and it's difficult. The wrist is meant to move towards you for the most part. Oh my god, why is it so thin? Oh, that's why. Oh, I know why. Okay, anyway, but the wrist is meant to move towards you, so if you can angle your paper to so you can draw comfortably is what I'm going at. All right, so we have a snake, and basically you kind of want to like make a shape for the head for the most part. You just make a little triangle, and it's like, oh, and you're like, great, I got a face. Look at that. And then to like kind of get a general body, you want to start with one line. Just draw a line. Doesn't gotta be pretty. A little bit not too jank. So you do like some curves. Oh my god. Alright, there we go. Do that. Get some like nice, pretty okay curves going around. And there we go. It's got it's just a general line. You can also do, it's recommended, so let's draw another one down here. A little snake poop. Just it's a snake, boop snoodle. I don't remember what's the other word for snake. It's like a noodle boop. Like
A danger.
it's better to draw danger noodle. Thank you.
Yeah, danger noodle.
Thank you. Yes, feel free to interrupt me and speak up in the chat too. When you're drawing curves, also, it's better to like. I know some of you are gonna do this. I do it too. You're gonna draw like little choppy lines like this and try to be like, oh, I gotta get around the curve. Don't do that. Try not to do it. It's recommended to not do it. You can, if you believe in yourself, you can make a nice curve just in one swoop. If you really want to, it's okay. Sometimes you might have to break it up in this instance, and that's okay. But for general, you can like move your hand around a lot to be able to get a nice curve going. But anyway, so we got our snake over here, and we're like, okay, we need that some dimensionality. So snakes are tricky because they curve all over themselves, right? So we can, if you follow this line here, we're like, okay, this one kind of cuts right there. So we do this, we add a little bit of a circle. Having lines cross over each other is always really difficult, but it's very rewarding. So his neck kind of bends a little bit like that if you look at it. Then it goes back down here to connect on to this little thing. It's very elegant snake. All right, I'm gonna do this line again. There we go. He's all good. Then it's
Welcome,
fixed.
baby. We're so glad you're
Oh
here.
my god,
Meeting
ads!
World, meet babies.
That's not
Born today,
helpful.
like
I don't
literally
want this.
hours ago.
Go away, Huggies. There's no ads in this. All right. And then you just keep drawing, and then you add a little bit more of some, all right, you know what? My music's gonna be fickle, and that's fine. I don't get me babies. Just add some depth. You know, you can kind of do what you see best for the most part. This one's kind of a little whack. I might redraw this. Oh, I'm gonna just go with it. Just gonna go with it. Clean them up a bit. I know I said don't erase, but you're allowed to erase to clean up your drawing. I just don't want you erasing your entire drawing. That's not beneficial. It's not. You're here to learn. And learning means you don't get to erase. All right. So there we have one danger noodle. It's not bad. You just got a little dimensionality. If you really want to make this more dimensional, you can add some small lines up here, and it'll indicate the ridge, the top ridge of him. So we have to start here, and you just follow it. And this will be like that top section of him. He's gonna go this way, and he goes that way. It's not bad. Let's really do it over here too. There we go. Do that instead. A little bit right there, indicate a top ridge, and you could follow it around. But what we really need to do is that we should give some dimensionality. We should give some form to the head. Is it okay? Is the pace okay? You draw as many snakes as you want to take wig on this one snake. So he's kind of like a little flat head. It's a little weird. Snake doesn't have any dimension. So what you can do is that if we look at him, he's got a little snoot over here. So you want to have like a line to separate what's basically the top and the bottom of the head. You got a little eye too, a little tongue. Bloop. And just that simple line adds a lot of dimensionality to the head. You can follow it up back here also. And then you have a snake. And he's pretty good. So I'm going to move on. I just have more snakes to draw. Oh my God, Zoom, get out of the way. Why are you so annoying? Go over there. There we go. But I'm just going to draw more snakes as I go. There we go. All right, we got another snake. He's a twisty boy. Actually, I'm gonna draw this not twisty boy first. This one's a little bit straight head on. Could be he's a more strip. You just erased. I'm not gonna hurt you if you erase. It's okay. You can draw at your own pace. It's fine. All right, so this one, you got a little head on, so we can draw a circle. some type of a circle. See, I'm gonna turn my paper so I can draw a circle or an oval. We have our oval. And we gotta get the snout though, right? It's kind of flat. If you look at it, like, where's the snout? And you wanna draw you can draw a little line and go that way and that way. And you suddenly have a snake face. Very simple. There he is. And then like before, now I do a line like straight in the middle and it's a little weird. So I think the best method is that we have him going that way. Is that you can lightly draw a line indicating where you want him to go, very lightly. This is where you don't want to put pressure on your pencil or your drawing tablet all the way, because you can do lighter lines in your sketches and very light lines, and then you don't have to like erase them and embed it into the paper, and forever you can see your sketch that you want nobody to see. So you just do it very lightly, and then you can go and just follow that curve as much as you want. Without having it to need to be the curve. So I'll do that way. Your snake looks like a fruit roll up. Oh, that's exciting. I would love to see your snakes. When afterwards, feel free to post in Discord as we go if you feel brave enough to share your art. And then you just kind of go. And now we have a little snake body. This side's a little whack, just a bit. Let's see, I'm gonna fix that. Just a little bit. Fill my entire sheet with pencil and then only draw by erasing, just to spite you. You know what? That's totally a valid way to draw, Jack. I know you're kidding, but do it. Is this Kingdom Hearts? I don't know. I'll check in a minute. Because I've drawn in a way. There's a way that you draw. Actually, like you have black, and then you draw by what's called, you have like a black piece of paper, and then you draw with like a white pencil, and it's called subtractive drawing, and it's really good, and I need to use it more because I'm so much better at it. But you can absolutely draw a snake in here just by erasing. Like, go do it if you want. I'm not gonna stop you. Here we go. Little snake. You don't have enough eraser for that? That's unfortunate. Alright, I think we got a little bit more dimension to this snake. How does he go? Oh, we kind of got the ridge over here, so let's bring this a little bit this way. Oh yeah, it is similar to the additive and subtractive way of doing 3D models. Right, and then you can see this ridge. This one's easy to see the ridge because it's kind of marked by this one. So this like little red marks you see going this way. And it kind of goes that way. It's gonna have a lot of ads, but look, at least this one's a musical ad. I won't complain about it. It's fine. Alright, this snake is good enough. It's a pretty good snake. You can add like little lines down here if you want to. No, I got chicken McNuggets now. I can't skip it! This is what I get for having music off of YouTube. I just wanted non-copyright music. It's all I wanted, but it's fine. I deal with this every time on my stream too. Like every week. It's so difficult to find ad-free music. Grubhub ad sounds intensify. It's true. And you add some you can add some little lines down here. It'll give like a little bit of shading is what this is. So you can or you can do like some small scales also. This is how you use line to indicate direction is another way to do it. So you have your lines going this way, but you have some small scales also to indicate the fact that it's going around itself. This little snaky boy. He's pretty good. So that's how you draw a snake. You just start with your head shape. Could be any shape you want. Let's draw to that one. It's a pretty good shape, and I'll make a nose right there. Yeah, that's pretty alright. And then you just kind of figure out how to draw a body. And you add some little lines underneath. A little bit. Give some shape to him. And that's how you draw a snake. And obviously you can like refine the snake more. This is not like, you know, I wouldn't ship this snake in a game. But it's just a really basic, quick drawing, and that's the point of it. Alright. If y'all haven't had enough snakes, if you'd like to move on. If you have a quest for certain animals, I'm willing to take those also, besides my little list over here. That I will go through very periodically. A pygmy marmoset? What is a pygmy marmoset? Would you hold on, I have to Google that. What does that look like? Pygmy marmoset. Narwhal or bust. Okay, I'll replace the whale with a narwhal. Oh, it's the monkey. Okay, you know what? We can do a pygmy marmoset. I see it. All right, we'll get to that. I'll do that instead of my. We'll get to that. Let me get a picture of a narwhal. You look up a narwhal. Here's another point. You're allowed to use references. The mountain chicken? No, I don't think the pygmy marmoset's a mountain chicken. Alright, so we're gonna move on from snake to what is going to be narwhal, but I'm gonna use the whale base because it's basically the same thing. But yes, if you want to draw, you're welcome to like do a sketch. I recommend doing like a sketch, your idea, just draw the idea plain as it is in your head, and then finding reference to flesh it out and like get some really solid anatomy and whatever you want to do on it. That's the process I recommend. Works pretty well. Alright, so we're gonna draw a narwhal. I think this whales and narwhals are pretty simple. You just draw a really big oval in the shape that you want. Put some like little like triangles or rectangles as fins. You could even like give him a mouth over here. He's like, oh. And you give him an eye. Let me see. Let me look at this narwhal. Narwhal's got smaller fins. Narwhal's got some smaller flippers. Down here we got some triangles. A bit of a bump in there. And that's a whale. And then if we're gonna go for a narwhal, they're basically also a really oblong oval, and then the narwhal is like right there. It's got its horn right in the middle, so you can start. It's gonna be a cone shape. So you just draw like a really small beginning of a circle, and then you just go out. Just go out and try to make a cone and get some depth to that cone. Just dive right into the cone and just try to draw. There we go. Let's see. It's a narwhal. I don't think a narwhal is a thing. Oh god, it's loading. Metabank's saving right now. Hold on, give it a second. Can we get someone out? We can draw. I mean, how different are narwhals and oh my god, Metabank crashed. It's not coming back. Alright, give me a second. It's not. Oh, it came back. I'm impressed it came back. Alright, anyway, we got our narwhal here, and this is what he looks like. And he's got a really small triangle fin, so I'm just gonna draw like it's kind of like a sort of triangle. It goes like that. And then you give him a tail, and you're like, oh. And then you give him an eye. And that's it's pretty good narwhal. Good looking narwhal, if I do say so myself. Looks pretty neat. You can like erase this line. give that depth there. Got another narwhal fin back there. This is how you add dimensionality by layering things. There we go. Like that, and you also use your lines. If you draw little lines over top of other lines, then that's also how you get dimensionality. It shows that that specific piece is in front of whatever is behind it, which helps to add form. What, narwhal? What is a horned whale? What, another way of spelling narwhal? Is that what we're getting at? The art program class. Usually this doesn't crash, so that was a little bit of a surprise. Actually, fins are a little bit more like that. So you add some shapes. It was pretty good. So that's just basically how you draw. This whole time you've been drawing a polar bear. You can draw a polar bear. I got some bears. There's some of my random animals. One of them is a polar bear. That's no problem. Alright. So basically, this is how you draw. You just draw a whale. You draw like a oval, and then you draw some fins and a tail, and it's great. You're all good. Add some like shading down here. A little bit down here. Erase this line. This is how you do it. This is what separates you from being an artist, is when you can start adding this type of dimensionality instead of everything being like super flat and like perfectly 2D. It's like the kids drawing, you got a fish. Fish looks like that, and you're like, oh, this is a long fish. I'm gonna make it a swordfish. There we go. You add your fish. You're like, okay, that's pretty good. But you can add some dimensionality to the fish. You have like another fin back there, and then you got, I don't know, it's got like a fin up there, and you're like, oh. And then it's got that coming out this way, and then a little bit that way. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's pretty alright. Demon fish successfully completed. I'm glad. I'm glad on the demon fish. Alright. We go to, let's see. Marmoset's gonna be equal to basically me drawing a wolf. So I'll get to that later. We're gonna move on to spiders, which are also basically very simple, but just a little bit more complicated. We're moving up in steps. Spiders, also not very difficult. We've been drawing them since grade school, but you add a little bit. Normally people will draw spiders and you're like, spider. And then you're like, oh. And that is the classic spider shape. Except spiders don't have just one circle. They have two. There are two circles on a spider. So you draw one oval. This one looks wide. I think this one's called a peacock spider. And this is like its weird mating dance or something. Also okay. There's your 8-legged spider. Big spider. But yeah, you just draw a spider. It's got two circles. Is what it is the key to drawing. Oh my god.
Nights testing a mattress. Head to
Ashley Home
Store and experience your new mattress in a box before you buy it. Then simply order online or from
this is what I get. I can't skip any of these ads, and I'm so sad about it. It's just gonna be that type of stream, I guess. Okay, so you got your two circles, right? But now you gotta get all the legs. The two circles, the body, and then the ass. You're correct. And then you just gotta draw like a really long line, double line, and you get some legs. And obviously you can add more detail to the legs, but this is basic shape. And normally you can honestly get away with just drawing one leg. You'd be like one line, and then you got a line there, and a line there, and that one. When that gets going that way, and then one back there, and then that's fine. That looks like a spider. But then you can add two lines. Like so. And suddenly, and like this one going down is peak dimensionality right there. Well, people are a tube. People are squares, actually. And now you have a spider, and then there's really not much to do to make this dimensionality unless you're looking at it from the side. Like you add some eyes, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and then you got some fangs, I guess. And there's more eyes, you know, if you really want it. Yeah. But that's a spider. You could really get fancy is adding the separation on the leg here. So if you look at this spider real close, you can see that the legs are actually a bunch of tiny cylinders. And these are its little joints and how it bends. So if you really want to get fancy with your spider, you can add some lines here. And it'll make some separations and indicate how it's different. But this is where I think it's your line quality. You can, if you want to erase it, this is where you can erase. You add a little bit of indents, right? Each bit. And I'll draw a leg without having the eraser also as an option. You have some indents, and you can get some line weight at the same time. And by doing this, do spiders dance? Spiders do dance, actually. The peacock dance, spider does in fact dance. They indeed do dance. They do the tango. And then you have this very, very nice dimensional looking leg. It's got a lot of detail and it looks pretty nice. And it also had some more things here. Get some fur if you want. Really sell the texture of it being a furry spider. There we go. This is how you add texture. They do the conga. They do indeed do the conga. Here. Furry foot. And there's a spider leg. So now let's draw a spider leg that you do it from the very start, right? So we're gonna bring up the picture again. So we have a bunch of cylinders from the start. So what you can do is that, well, it looks like this one's a bit complicated. So you have your very light line again, right? You're like, okay, this is where I want my leg to go. And then you can start making a bunch of cylinders around that initial line. And you're like, okay. And that way, you get just a little bit, you gotta bend up here. There we go. You got a little bit of bend. You got a little foot. You got a little line for the foot. And this, if you draw the cylinders like in mind, is also a way to also get that depth. A little bit of a rigid, but it also kind of makes it look more separated because you intended for them to be. And you can darken the lines out where they intersect just to do it. Makes it look a little bit nicer when you have a little line control. They do dance. I know, I wasn't kidding. Spiders dance. They go a little back and forth on the little platform right there. You got some like hairs, so you can do it outside. Give a little. When you add the fur outside on the silhouette here, this is what you're talking about when you're looking at shape, right? So shape here also includes whatever these additional lines. So by looking at the spider, you can see that it's got some furry legs. So if I were to draw, got the spider base, spider, and I'm gonna be like, that. You can still tell it's a spider, even though it doesn't have any details. And that's just because you recognize the fact that this is what a spider looks like. This is the shape of a spider. And this is why shape is important. And then if you add a little bit of you can add some fur right there. There we go. A little bit around the edges of the legs. then you recognize, all right, it's either spiny, it's got some really dangerous looking spikes on it, or it's furry. And you know, that little bit of ambiguity is totally okay also in this state because you don't have the detail. Be like, I don't know, man, this kind of looks a little sketchy. Huh, looks a little dangerous because it's super pointy. Pointy things are dangerous generally. Alright. So you got this little guy dances. It's pretty neat. So it's also good. This is a good example. This spider right here. I want to move these over here. It's a good example of variety. Where's Control Z when I need it? Well, don't get me started. I'm always finding myself drawing traditionally, like wanting to Control Z, but I'm like, no, this is ink and this is pencil. I do not have that ability in the real world. Catch me every time. Okay, so this spider is a good example of variety. This is a very, you don't see this shape in a spider. Like, this is the common spider shape. Like, it's probably, I don't know, it's probably very close to the Spider-Man logo. They probably use this type of spider. But you got this spider, it's got like a very round, like a round head down here. Alright, and then you got like an oval. Not a lot of spiders have this shape. But that's useful for you though, if you find the abnormalities amongst the animal world. You got some eyes. Then it's useful for your design practices because that allows you to make your own designs a lot more unique. Because not many people draw spiders using the peacock spider's very unique shape. They just don't. They draw spiders in the more traditional sense, which, to the benefit of that, people can immediately recognize it's a spider, but to the detriment, you might hit a block where all your spiders start looking the same. So it's good to experiment with different shapes also within your silhouette and your form. And you got this spider, and he's like, oh, no.
Welcome, baby. We're so glad you're here. Meeting Earth.
You know what, maybe, I don't know what I'm gonna do for music. Like, I can't even see the ad. Normally in YouTube, you know, you can see like where the ad's gonna be. It doesn't show up. It's not there. It's so mean. I wasn't expecting ads. This one's got some big chompers. Look at that. That's just chompers right there. It's got some massive ad blocking. You know what? It's true. But like, also, I believe in helping. It's fun. I'm not gonna get into that. Maybe we'll just put on other music. Maybe I don't know. I have ads on everything. All right. See, look, that's a neat looking spider. And if we blocked them in a bit, just that. Let's see, did that. Oh yeah, the dewpider. See, dewpider is one of those examples of making a very interesting looking spider. And it's not being a stereotypical spider. So like, you can still tell it's a spider here because of like the leg component of it. But it's got a very interesting shape that a lot of spiders don't have, so it's a good design. All right, that is spiders. I wanted to include Platypus in here. This platypus example is an example, like dewpider, of cartoonizing how to simplify animals into cartoons. So as you can see, Platypus here, well, is also literally just a rectangle. Just a rectangle with like a triangle face, kind of like, you know, that shape. It's like an oval, and then some eyes. It's just an eye. It's some eyes, and you're like, oh, okay. You've got that tail. The random creation from sport. Yeah, that's true. Metabang needs a moment. But yeah, this is cartoon animals are very good because you have to know how to draw the normal animal to really be able to make a cartoon of it, which is why learning anatomy is important, despite nobody liking to learn anatomy. So some sense of realism is needed to be able to draw a cartoon. That's how you simplify proportions and things. So I can guarantee that somebody looked up actual platypuses, drew a lot of platypuses, and then decided how to draw Perry the platypus. Is most likely what the process was. Alright, here we go. Got some little hands. And he also has a good example of using line as a... They started with the hat and went from there. That's also true. Somebody had an idea. Perry here also has a good example of using line to give definition. So you see how on his form right here, they're overlapping. There's like a slight overlap here. There's a slight overlap between the arm and the hand, also the leg and the foot, and obviously the foot's in front of the body. This is an example of using line to give dimensionality without shading. You don't have to shade to give dimensionality. You just have simple overlap and maybe a small texture like back here. You can add some real dimension to your shape. And the texture here is a good example of contrast. Instead of keeping this like flat, it's like obviously Perry is furry, but they didn't add a fur texture. They added a traditional beaver tail texture, like a red texture, to give contrast to the body. All right, Joseph Bruno, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Right. Let's see. We have about an hour left, so I will do. Yes, I can turn down the music. There we go. And maybe we won't hear the ad so much either. I can talk over the ad. All right. All right, chat. All right, so we have about an hour. So I think usually started late. So I have a giraffe. I can go over drawing the pygmy marmosets, or I'll do the pygmy marmoset actually. We need one complicated animal. So let me get a picture of a pygmy marmoset real quick, and then we might go into, if you're comfortable, going into how to combine animals. Or I can do more examples. That's up to you. What do you guys think? I don't know. I'll take this one, I guess. That's cute. No, I'll go with this picture. Oh, great. There he is. Okay, here. We have a pygmy marmoset now. Alright, so this little boy, he basically... How would y'all think about going about drawing this? What do you think? What do you think? Anyone can like unmute and say it. But what do you think? How do you think we would go about drawing this? Wolf bird, wolf hybrid? Yes.
Maybe start off with an oval?
Ooh, oval's a good idea.
I was gonna say potato.
You have an oval. Potatoes also can have like a potato for his whole thing. It's basically a potato here. Alright. So we do have a potato. That's pretty good. Now, potato's a good start for something that's complicated, but also it's a little difficult because you have a potato now and you're like, oh, well, what do I do with this potato? So, with more complicated animals like this, I recommend there's basically the system of like, it's also the human system, but breaking it up into like, you have a head, so it's kind of like a circle here, sort of in your head, and then you have sometimes you can identify like the hip section, and then you have a chest bone section for the most part. So while you have a whole potato, you want to draw like individual sections in here. And that gives you at least a little basic of how to like separate and proportion each of the legs whenever you get to quadrupedal animals for the most part. So then now you have your circles and you can divide the circle. So if you draw this line and then you draw another line, you give a direction to the face, which is usually what you use. Chubby oval, it is a chubby oval. Usually what you use to define where you want your eyes. So we have an eye here, and then we have one here. We got his nose for the most part. He's right there. He's like, oh. And now we have this little bit. you know, you can have the whole chubby. So we have this back leg, and usually the back leg one, the hip one goes into working for our legs as we like it. I usually use it to lead into the back foot for the most part. And then you can go in and like erase it if you need to, and then clean it up a bit. And then you have this middle circle, which usually is some type of an arm. So inside of it, you'll like draw some indicator of where you want your arm to be, and then like another oval off of it, and then some set of hands, which is usually like a triangle. It's good for claws or little fingers and something like that. And then if you erase your lines, some overlapping unwanted lines, you know, whatever you want. So we drew a potato around it at this point, so you can draw. Just get rid of anything you don't want. Keep a little bit. Like there and there. Keep a little bit of the overlap. You don't want to erase all of them, because then you lose a little bit of your dimensionality from that. It really depends on where you want to go. You can see a little bit of the first shift here, so you're free to like draw a line there if you really want. So add some like fuzz on him. So you do like a little trick where you just do like really short lines. You can even do short lines instead of where you had those circles. Adds a little bit of a difference, and you can add that fuzz effect also by there. And then the tail is literally just like some type of cylinder or something, if you want it to be. You get that, and you get some fur over there. There we go. And if we take that away, and this is looks pretty good. It's not bad. You can make it look a little less like a potato by just having that go in a little bit like that. Oh, sometimes my tablet says no, I don't want to draw today, and that's fine. Need a little bit of an eye, a little bit of an angry face right there. That's pretty good. And that's how you draw more complicated things. So if we go back to the giraffe down here, I do a similar idea. We have this giraffe, and it's very large, and it's very big, and it's kind of complicated on its silhouette. So what I would do is that I draw like a circle where I would think the head would be, kind of like over here. And then I draw my line where it would be facing. This is your kind of directional line of how you want the face to go. And if you have snouts, it's also handy, because you can draw a little cone on top of it like this. If you had the base cone and you draw out from it and draw another cone. And that's how you can get a snout drawn. And then for this one, looks like we got like a rib cage down here, and then the hips are back over there. And then if you get your basic, you just kind of connect everything as you see fit to. This one is also, I would draw the knees. Draw some like knees and ovals to the knees. And I can't see down here, so look at that. It just goes down, and he's like, oh, I got some feet. In this one, I avoided drawing a knee. I just kind of drew the outline, which is also perfectly acceptable. If you kind of just know the general shape, you can just straight draw it. Like, it's really up to you. Art is up to you. Like, I can show you how to do this, but then you can decide if you like it, or you can do something else. There's really like no perfect way to do it. And you're like, oh, okay, I got a giraffe. Look at that. Look at this boy. All right. So yeah, that's how you go about drawing complicated animals. I would start by trying to get like a general feel, and then just draw some circles where stuff is supposed to go for the most part. And go over here, and then you figure out how to connect it after that. So you got a rib cage, and then you got a neck. And usually things will slope down more actually into a rectangle in the torso. So you can honestly just draw draw like a rectangle if you want, and then add some circles for where leg muscles and arm muscles are supposed to go. You get like a lot of ovals. And then it's all good. It's little sticks, and there's a giraffe. I'm a giraffe. He's a giraffe. Thank you, CJ. All right. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna give you guys a challenge, and all right. So we're gonna draw chimeras, and this is my system of using chimeras. It's not the exact system of drawing chimeras, but I like to do it this way because I find it fun and entertaining. So what I like to do is that, let me see. Do I have it up? I don't have it up. Hold on. So we have random animal generator. And what I like to do is I like to generate random animals. So I'm going to set it to 2 and see what I get. I got a badger and a, okay. And I like to use them as my base for making chimeras. Obviously, if you have an idea in your head, go ahead and try to mix 2 animals. I'm not going to stop you. But if you don't know what to mix, you're welcome to do this. And I also have another sheet. This has some examples. That third sheet has some example animals that I had prepped of like animals. You can just randomly pick one if you'd like. And they have examples of how to break them down into shapes if you'd like to just kind of choose 2 of these. Let's see badger and goat. You want badger and goat? All right, we're going to go with badger and goat. It's going to be interesting. So first step number 1, let's look at the anatomy of the animal. I need a better goat picture is what I need. Let me get a badger. Let's see. Ooh, that was a weasel. All right, we got, look at him. Oh, he's great. Oh, I'm gonna take him. All right, copy image, put him over here. All right. Mushroom. You know what? I'm gonna throw a mushroom. I also like to add a modifier. I like to usually add like some modifiers I've used in the past is like slimy, Egyptian, polluted, undead. So that's kind of what I like to do. So I'll take 2 animals and add a modifier to make it more interesting for myself. Just when I don't really have an idea of what ooh, look at this unit. That's a good one. Should we do maybe a really big bat? Ooh, should we do the big goat? Should we do the small goat? Little tiny goat? Or mountain goat? Mountain goat's got some good horns right there. What do we want? What do we want to use with my goat? You know what? I'm going to use this really big curly goat. I like this one. I think this is a neat goat. Could copy that one too. Alright, so you can get your animals. Alright, I got my animals. I'm gonna move this back over here. Gonna just share Metabang now. Alright, so we have my badger and we have my goat. And feel free to just draw as I'm talking to work on your own, but I'll talk through the process. So first, I'm gonna figure out how to draw a badger, and I'm gonna figure out how to draw a goat. So let me just, looks like a badger is pretty long. He's got like a very flat head for the most part. It's fitting that he's a little honey badger. Being the Hufflepuff that I am, it's kind of like an armadillo head, you know, that's fine. Kind of got like a little flat head, and he's got like a flat body. He's very rectangular in shape and very wide. Also, he's got that stoutness. He's got like, kind of just looks like that. He's got his feet down there, and what really makes the badger though is the pattern. That's what really makes the badger special. So in your animal, you also want to define whatever the defining feature for your characteristic animal. That goes in the shape and form. Sometimes it's shape, so the goat, it's definitely the horns. Sometimes it's the actual color palette. For this case, it's the badger's color palette. So most likely I'll use the colors of the badger. And we got the goat over here. I got like a circle, then the. Why is that already cute? He's just fat. Is what it is. I like a little snout. And see, this one's definitely got the horns going for it. It's what it's doing. Also, know you don't have to draw everything sometimes, especially in a sketch. As long, I mean, you know, you pick and choose your battles. It's kind of like a goat. He's got like he's got some legs going, got like really straight knees. And then I want to draw a mushroom. I don't have a mushroom mask, but I've looked at a lot of mushrooms in my time. So it's kind of like what a mushroom looks like. And you can also get like magic mushroom. It's all good too. So what I might do, definitely want to use the goat horns. I kind of like how shaggy the goat is. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll make the horns out of the mushroom. Maybe I'll put them on his back. Got some, maybe some garlic. Mushroom sprout. It's very woodsy. Could be just like woodsy. I might make him the bat. I'm gonna do the badger body because I like how stout and solid it is. So we're gonna go with the badger body, rectangular body, most likely. Just trudging along, but I'm gonna take the goat fur. Alright, that's what we're gonna do. So you're gonna have a badger body. No, it's not. It's too much. It's too long. He doesn't. His feet aren't that long. I'm gonna go back to use the reference that I had. So I'm gonna have him standing. Probably just on it sideways. I'm gonna. This is my general shape that I want, and then I'm drawing some circles for the legs and things. And then I'm gonna take the head, kind of make like a basic rectangle, and I'm gonna have him looking down. I'm gonna be holding a mushroom. I got this badger. I'm gonna add some really big horns on him. I'm gonna exaggerate the horns a bit more than what the goat had, but go along the similar vein of what was happening there. And you can make multiple sketches too. Like, you don't have to go with your first idea. I might not like everything I do after this guy. But that's okay. It's called iteration. And that means you just draw whatever comes into your head and you see if you like it. And you're like, no, I don't like it. Maybe you hate it. That's okay too. That's part of art. Art is literally doing everything 100 times. And you're like, I'm just never satisfied. I have him eating a mushroom. But I want him to be shaggy. It's like he's growing from the earth himself. There's some like curly lines to indicate that he's a little shaggy. A little bit over here. Let's see, this is the badger's pattern again. Where and then get rid of that line, and I'll leave this line. Actually, need it just a little bit. Add some detail to the horns up here because it's neat. I don't like his face. I want to redo his face. Kind of like gave him like a hamster face, honestly, which is kind of weird. It's like a road. Now, I know I'm drawing very differently than what I just showed. I'm not actually doing like a circle for the head, and then let's see, a snout. I mean, I'll do that really quick. There we go, add some form to it. But that also just goes to show that you can just draw whatever works best for you in that particular moment. What does a badger face look? I need to go back and look up a reference. Okay, it's pretty straight-laced actually. Simple. I'm gonna go ahead. Color in a little bit of him. And I'm gonna add some mushrooms on his fur, like he's part of the woods, like a shaggy little druid badger. Okay. How do you import images? You can import an image specifically in the MetaBang if you go up to File and then you can do Open as a Layer, where you can honestly just drag and drop it. If you do copy image from the internet, you can then paste it. Which is what I did after I couldn't find the file. I just copied image and pasted it, and it was fine. It took the key command. Oh, so we got a little sketch of this little badger man. I'm not sure I like the horns yet, so I think I'm gonna do some variations of badger heads over here with some horns. So I'm gonna draw a bit more detail of a badger head, just a little bit. Now he's got too much of a snout. It's kind of like a cougar snout. Right, that's like a badger snout. Also an armadillo snout. Got my creature, regardless of drawing success, is going to be horrifying. You got ant plus Asian palm. It's like a lemur. Ant plus lemur. I love. That's a good one too. Ant plus a lemur. I like when you get two different animals that like aren't even in the same species, let alone the same like, what is it, family, gene, like hierarchy. I don't know. No specific word for like Hercules beetle and a hummingbird. Ooh, that's a good one. Fennec fox and snake. Ooh, I love all of these. I'm gonna screenshot these for like my own collection. The last time I did this workshop, I got a lot of people got a lot of. I drew a hat, which is why I have those examples. So I let people draw the example ones from a hat. So I got some very interesting combinations, like the monkey with one of the more reptilian ones. Made a very quick beast. It's kind of scary. These sub tiger plus hummingbird. Oh my god, that's adorable. I'd be curious what shape you used. being a tiger with the hummingbird that's like feather pattern, like the body, but then also like a tiny little attackers. All they're both really good. When you have two very good like different sized shape ones, also are great. It's so good. It can like work out real well and then like not. All right, yeah. So you got a badger. What if I could do like some tiny horns on him, maybe? Then he kind of just looks like a goat. So what's important is that this has to be rounder. And then I have to make sure I get the could be like that. We could be the benefit of digital is that I can just copy and paste. Well, you know, if it's not gonna freeze on me, I can just copy and paste it. There we go. And just move them over. I'm gonna look up some very interesting mushrooms. See what we got. What's the most wild mushroom I can look up? And we get the classic red and white. Well, that one could be an interesting horn. All right. That one that's like. I'm gonna do a little bit of asymmetry on this one. I'm gonna make it kind of go out like that. And like a little bit of a texture here. Could add some actually mushroom bits to the badger himself. Might make it interesting. I do enjoy that. Over here, you can add those similar mushroom bits. Like he's got some stuff in his fur also, his little dengue. He's like this little guy's like the massive druid or fungi creature. This is his story now. Listens to all the fungi in the forest. Give him a little tongue. Give him the goat eyes. There we go. This is a pretty good sketch, though. This can be as complete or as sketchy as you want. Lost my music. So this one's not gonna have a lot of ads, probably will. All right, Adam, good luck with your physics. Thanks for coming. Okay. I think he's pretty alright. This little badger goat. I could experiment more with him if I really wanted to. You're so afraid of what you just created? No, don't be afraid. Just love them. I mean, you can be scared of them, but love them too. Let's see, I'm gonna get another one. You would hug my? Oh, that's cute. You would hug yours? That's great. Oh, please post them and I'll look at them afterwards. Unless you would like to share them or like me, I can share them up here. Let me see, let me get this guy. It's okay. Doesn't have to be good. Your art is, as I said, your art is your art. There is no bad art. There's only bad design. Right. I'm gonna give myself another one because I'm like pretty satisfied with this. I could do it with the goat body. I mean, we'll do that like right here. It'll be like. I'm kind of like the badger body. I think it's neat. I'm gonna give myself another one just because I want to. Let's see what I got. What will we get? As a programmer, you make bad design choices very frequently. Well, that's possible. Oh my god, what is that? It's a fossa and a pelican. Like, okay, that's fine. I'll show you guys that one in a sec. Basically, a weird-looking cat and a bird. We love those. Copy that image. It's like the adult Siamese cat. Oh, okay, let's see. What are we gonna do with him? Well, okay, we got this guy. What are you? You're definitely a cat, right? But your face looks like a weasel. Such a strange creature, but it also looks like it's maybe a marsupial. I don't really know what it is. Alright, I don't know. We got like a kind of like a triangle face. It's got like the triangle face that cats have. So like, I'm not sure what it is. Just like that. And then we got like this hunchback here. And then it just keeps going. Probably does that back there. I don't know what its tail looks like, but that'd be interesting. Let me look up its tail. Oh, this is a weird animal. I actually think it's really small. I can't tell if it's a cat or if it's like a weasel. I think it's both. I think nature already made a cat weasel. is the strangest creature. Not a lot of whiskers though. And then we got a pelican. Notice the pelican is like, oh, got like a head, sort of. And a beak, and another beak, and a big bit, and that. Is our bird. What to do with you? Maybe I'll, you know, it'd be really terrifying. So we got the pelican body. You want to know one of those things if you had like some wings to it? Did you know birds have teeth sometimes? Like penguins do, and flamingos do, and it's actually really horrifying to look at. Super scary when they have teeth. Alright, Carter, thank you for coming. I'm glad you had some fun. And this is how you just make a wyvern. This is how you make a dragon. This is what you do. I gave him tiny ones. Well, that's one possible combination. So just clean up those wings a little bit so you can see them. Oh, it's horrifying. It smells of the teeth. I am not a fan. It's like I like it, but then I don't. I really don't. Let's try. Oh, what do I do? Let's see. Try to make a cute one. Let's see if I can make something cute. We got. I actually think the creatures in like Avatar: The Last Airbender and stuff do a very similar approach to combining animals. There's an artist, her name is Carol Whitlatch. She used to do some art for I think Avatar: The Last Airbender. She uses this approach of like using animal anatomy and like really making it very fantasy-like. The Monster Hunter franchise also does a similar thing. They mix various animal anatomy to make their realistic monsters. So I appreciate that as well. It needs to be a little bit this way. If you want to draw things that are cute, usually to do that is that having really small and drastic proportions is a good way to do that. So let me make this a little bit smaller. And then give him some bigger eyes. Good way to make something cute in that vein. Neoteny. Turtle ducks. They are turtle ducks. Turtle ducks was such a good thing. I'll have to look in the Neoteny. Is that what it's actually called? Turtle ducks are iconic and are absolutely one of those things. It's like more literal than it is fantastical, and then you have like Appa, which is very fantastical. Alright, he's not as terrifying as like, you know, his counterpart, which was this one. I think I did the same base shape, but I just made him smaller. Comparatively. Scale him down a bit. I'll put him down here. Maybe I can get one more that's truly bird-like. It's kind of like the same thing. Yeah, what if we went off of this base shape and just made them super feathery? What if instead of ears, I gave him wings? Blackie, please, no. Don't do it. She's looking at me from on top of my bookcase. So she always jumps down on my desk when she wants to get off. So, get down from my bed. So she's eyeballing the desk, which I have everything on right now. Bottom jaw. And then make a little elastic match. Do some more tiny wings. I like tiny wings on things. Okay, Blackie, I will get you down. Just hold on. Come here. Come here. Oh, no. Right. I didn't need a catastrophe right there. Alright, so see, that one's pretty neat. So we got a little bit of some different body shapes. We got this little, mostly cat thing. These two are very similar. So actually these are all sort of different. This is more dinosaur-like. This is more sphinx-like. This is more tiny cat. This one I like the most, actually, is the most fantastical. And that's using the base of the fusa and adding more pelican to it. And it's pretty neat. Alright, well, we got about 5 more minutes. So if anyone is brave, will let me look at your stuff on Workshop. I can pull it up on Discord, but only with permission. If not, let me go back to I do like this badger one. I might make a better picture of the badger goat. I like his story. Top right is literally a Pokemon. This one. This one literally a Pokemon. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird Monster Hunter Pokemon. Like, it's a little terrifying. It's too scary for Pokemon. I hope you guys had fun. Maybe learned a thing or two. Maybe gain some art confidence. I don't know. Let's see. Get other account. If you ever want to DM me art or anything you work on, you know, if you don't want to share it in project sharing, that's totally fine. I'll give you feedback if you'd like it to. It's open. Correct. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna share the screen instead. I know you can see everything. It's still loading, questionably. There it is. The computer's trying real hard. I wanted to bring light to some resources down here. No, not the bad art one. It is actually good art. Alright, so these are some YouTube channels that I personally like a lot right now. Yeah, I'm always switching YouTube channels, but these are pretty consistent. Trent over here gives some really good art advice, and he also has a really unique style, in my opinion. Does a lot of line work. The legendary S, indeed. So Trent he uses a lot of line in his style, and it's very impressive the way he's able to use the line work. So I highly recommend him just for his art, but he also has a lot of really good art talks, and he talks about being an artist and the mindset and the struggle of it, and being an artist as a concept artist and a comic artist. So he's a good channel too. And then subjectively, is also really good for like character and various like designs. They do a lot of fan Pokemon designs. They do a lot of armor sets for Monster Hunter or D&D, a lot more fun things. But how to expand your general fan art in a way is how I view them. So they have a lot of really good design principles. They'll do redesign League of Legends skins is also a good way to do it. So I like them a lot. But that's it. So thank you guys very much for hanging out and drawing today. I appreciate it. It's not quite 9, but you know, basically out. So I'll open the floor if anybody wants to share their art. And thank you guys so much for drawing today. Really hope you had fun. Learn something new maybe.